Hello everyone, CatWeazle here, welcome to the channel and welcome back to our playthrough of Perdition's Mouth, Abyssal Rift, where we're just about to do episode 5. But before that, just got a few things to go through. First of all, you may have noticed that the enemies have had a quick coat of primer. So they've all been coated with black primer. So this should help them stand out against the heroes a bit better. So all those have been done. I've done all the cultists and I've done all the insectoids as well. And very nice they look. Moving on from that, we've got a few errors to go through and a few rules clarifications. So I'll try and whiz through them as quickly as possible. First of all, we need to go right back to episode 2. If you remember, Tyra came up here, attacked the cultist, except she couldn't because she couldn't be aided, so we had to take her all the way back. Now, 2 of those aid cards from Olazabal, I gave back to Olazabal, grease and gasoline. Fantastic. But what I forgot was that Tyra had also committed a card. She committed headbutt to the attack. Obviously, she didn't do the attack, so she gets headbutt back. So thanks to Thomas for pointing that out. I've got headbutt out of her discard pile and put it back into her hand. The fact that she hasn't used it for the last 2 episodes, we'll just have that as a penance for getting it wrong in the first place. But she now has headbutt back in her hand. Moving on to episode 3, made another error, but fortunately again, didn't cost us any sort of problems because it worked out okay in the end. The error was that Tyra, when she was attacked by the guard, pulled a response card, but she wasn't on the defend segment. You have to be on the defend segment as a hero to pull a response card when defending. It is only the enemies that get an automatic response card. So she pulled a response card when she shouldn't have. But that was okay because they were tying anyway. The attack and defense was a tie, which means she didn't get hit. So didn't matter, she pulled the response card because she didn't need to. So that's fine. Moving on to episode 4, we mentioned something about the cultist not being able to move into difficult terrain. Well, that's incorrect. Cultists can actually spend 1 movement to go onto difficult terrain, but they've got to stop. They can't sort of like move up and down and then move off. They can only spend a single movement point to get onto difficult terrain. That's different from the insectoids. The insectoids are not affected by difficult terrain. They've got loads of legs. They've got legs to burn and they can just move all over the shop. But the cultists, being humanoid, they can't do that. But they can spend a single movement point to move on difficult terrain, then they've got to stop. So that's a clarification of that rule. However, the guard is going to stay here. He's not going to move back to get 3 range. Why not? Well, he wants to stay alive. He already has a wound on him. When you finish your movement on one of these difficult terrain squares and don't move off it, you have to take a failure penalty. And the failure penalties are different for each type of terrain. For example, Elisa here, she finished her teleport on this difficult terrain. But that's okay because the rubble difficult terrain, the failure penalty is you stop moving. Well, we wanted to stop moving anyway, so that's fine. So the failure penalty didn't really affect her. That's fantastic. However, for the poor old guard, if he moved here, obviously he can only move 1, so he can't move out. That means he finishes his turn in a water space. The failure penalty for finishing your turn in a water space is 1 wound. He's already got 1 wound. He'd get 2. He'd die. He is obviously not going to commit suicide, so he is going to stay exactly where he is. So We got it right, but for all the wrong reasons. He will stay there, but that is a quick explanation and clarification of why he does stay there and he doesn't move into the water. Okay, thanks to Timo and to Didier for clearing that one up. And one other thing to mention is something Timo mentioned regarding Blink, which is the teleport that we used. Now, Blink allows you to teleport up to 2 squares. See here, the red number. Now, there's a reason that number's red. It's because it's a special ability. And these can be boosted. You can use, like, a special card to aid and boost this. But, because it's red, you can only boost it up to 6. Now, we wouldn't want to boost it any more than we did. In fact, we only moved 1 space anyway, because we wanted to keep these guys in line of sight. But if we got a boost, we could only boost it up to 6. It's just so you don't have somebody like Elisa like getting boosted up to about 15 and then disappearing off the map somewhere. So has to be reined in a little. So she can only get boosted to 6. So that is just a quick explanation of how that special ability works and how the red numbers work. So red numbers can only be boosted to 6. Right, I think that is it for all the rules clarifications and error clarifications for this and previous episodes. So let's move on and start episode 5 with the hero phase. And here we are at the hero phase. So who are we going to start with? Let's start with Tyra. So Tyra is going to do her usual, which is try and hit something. But we've got to go to the Stone of Destiny first. Let's spin all the pegs around. And let's get ready to rock and roll. So she's got 5 action points to use. So, if she wants to attack, she's got to get all the way over to charge, which is 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 of her action points. Now, she's not going to bother moving. She's just going to stay where she is because she is still in range of 2. So she can still hit. Her attack is 4. The defense of the guard is 2. But we want to make sure that we hit and kill it. So, we are going to commit Headbutt, which Thomas reminded us about. So we'll commit Headbutt for 3. It is a combat icon on there. So that will give us an attack of 7 against a defense of 2. We have to draw a response card because it's an enemy. So it's 2 plus 1, which is not good enough. That is a 2nd wound on this guy, and it's good night, Vienna. He goes to the dead pool. Brilliant. So that is it for Tyra. We can flick that round and we can discard the response card and headbutt. Brilliant. After her, who is going to go next? And here we are with our next player, and who's it going to be? It's going to be Elisa, because we want her to cause some death and destruction. So first of all, let's go to the Stone of Destiny. Fortunately, she only needs to use 1 of her action points to get to attack. So that's what she's going to do. She's gone to the attack segment. That takes her down to 4 action points. Now, the attack segment has a card draw, so we will draw a card first of all, and we get Grand Theatre special card. Place the decoy token in an empty square in your line of sight. The decoy has 1 defense, 1 wound, max of 3, and is the weakest hero. Nothing up my sleeves. So you're basically, if you're being attacked, she can play this and it will just draw all the attacks to this decoy. So quite a good card. Excellent. Right, we'll put that in her hand. There we go. And we will get on with her attack. So we've got an attack and it's got a circle, and if you remember, we can spend unused action points as our attack, but 2 action points 2 unspent action points equal an extra combat. But she's got 4 left, which is cool. So that's going to give us an extra 2 attack. And she's going to use those in conjunction with Fireball, because she's going to play Fireball. So let's have a look. Cast a flaming spell. Your attack becomes an area attack with +3 combat against one figure in range and each other figure within 1 range of that targeted enemy. Brilliant. Attacks heroes and enemies, but we're fine, there are no heroes in the way, so that's brilliant. I have always been a very visual person and a keen observer. Fantastic. So there's Fireball, and as we discussed previously, she does have line of sight here from the centre of her own square to the centre of that guard square. So she's actually going to hit this square and this gentleman here. You cannot target an empty square. So say she was, I don't know, you know, say she was here and only able to hit that square, then you can't target this square and then catch people in the blast. You actually have to target a square with an enemy in, and that's what we're doing, this chap. So we're going to get +3 for that, +2 because we have 4 unused action points, so we're going to use those as part of the attack segment. So that's going to give us +5 against him, him and him, which is fantastic. So we've got 2, 2 and 1 defence. So we're going to leave it at that. We're not going to add any extra cards to it. Originally, I was thinking, oh, Olazabal would have to help out, but I forgot about the circle around the combat icon here. So we're not moving, so we have got 4 action points to burn, and we're going to get 2 extra attack off them. So +5 against 2, 2 and 1. They do get to draw a defence card, 1 each. So first of all, the guy we're actually going to hit, and he gets a +2. But +2 and 2 is 4. That's not good enough. He needed 5 or better. His mate that's right next to him, he's in the blast zone. He gets a +2, but again, not good enough. 2 + 2 is 4 and doesn't match 5. And finally, we've got the acolyte. He gets a +1. He's nowhere near. So he gets fried, baby. So let's get some wound tokens. So these guys have both got 2 hit points, so they take a wound token. But this guy, he only has 1 hit point, so he is dead. He goes into the dead pool. We love it. We're filling up that dead pool nicely. So brilliant. That is it for her go. So let's get rid of Fireball. We'll discard it. And we'll discard all of these. Put them up here. Is there anything else to do with Elisa? Yes, there is. We've got to turn her peg inwards. So that is it for Elisa. Next up is Olazabal. And here we are with Olazabal. Let's get to the Stone of Destiny. What is she going to do? Well, she's actually going to defend. Now, hopefully she won't get attacked. But the reason we're going on to defend is, one, we don't particularly want to move her anywhere. She's just sort of guarding that door, and we're going to look to escape out of that door anyway. So why bother moving? Only spends 1 action point. We've got 3 left, but it doesn't matter. Here we have draw a card symbol. So she will draw a card, and she gets grit. So that is a 3 bonus. Works for all those symbols, that's fine. Once again, only the details matter. So we'll put that in her hand. She's up to 5 cards in her hand, that's fine. And she is on that defend segment now. What that means, if she does get targeted and attacked, then she will draw a defense card. So let's have a look at the defend. Well, we'll have a look at defend in the rulebook. Won't be a second. Okay, so we can spend action points to improve our defence, but we've got to make them now. So she used 1 to move, she's got 3 left. So it's 2 action points for each defence. She's only got 3 action points left, so we can only spend 2 really. So she will get a single defence. So she gets a little defence token there, so we know she's on the defend segment and she has an extra defence that she's bought with her action points. Brilliant! So additionally to that, if she does get attacked, this is the only time that she as a hero can draw a response card. So we'll have to remember that as well. But the token, that'll help you remember that as well. So that is why she's got a token there. She's on the defend segment. She spent 2 of her action points to get a defend token. Right, that is it for Olazabal. So that is the end of the hero phase. Let's get into the enemy phase. And here we are at the enemy phase. So let's get straight on with it. And we're on the enemy watchstone. We have to draw a response card. And we get a red eye again. So once again, we are drawing out of the reserve pool. And we're going to empty the reserve pool because there's only 2 things left in it. And they're both these horrible, icky bone worms. So 1 will go into the primary pool. And the remaining 1 will go into the secondary pool. So there we go. The reserve pool is now empty. So if we're asked to, if we get another card in a later phase, a later enemy phase with a red eye on it, we can't promote anything from the reserve pool anymore. It is now empty, so we will just ignore it. So that is that. We've got another +1. So let's move our green bead, and we've got a spawn. So green bead moves to spawn. It's a secondary spawn because it is a square, and that's good because we're not going to get attacked. Woohoo! Spawn. We're going to spawn out of the secondary pool. Well, what do you know? We still have acolytes in there. So we'll take one of the acolytes, and it's going to spawn here. The reason we're spawning it down here is it is adjacent to the trapdoor, but this is further away from the exit. So it's still got quite a way to get up there. So what would that be? That would be 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns, 4 turns, and then on the 5th turn it would get in there. So we've got plenty of time really. Plenty of time to deal with these 2 and skedaddle out of this door, I think. So not too bad. Right, so that is it for the enemy phase. Just a quick something here at the end. What I'm going to do, I think I was going to do just the introductory scenario and leave it at that. But I think what I'm going to do is I will carry on and we will go on to the 2nd level and do another scenario. The reason I want to do that is this is an introductory scenario, so it's a lot easier. Additionally, I have been getting a lot of help from a lot of people who know this game very well, like Timo and Didier and Hans and people like that who are, you know, giving me some really good tips. Consequently, the introductory scenario is even easier than it would be for, say, somebody who's just doing it on their own. So I've had a lot of help. Additionally, I've made a few errors, which has made it a bit easier for me, but hopefully we've caught all those. So what I would like to show, though, is that the game is a lot more difficult. So what we'll do is we'll go on to a 2nd scenario. We'll go through here. Now, at the beginning, I should have decided if I was doing a campaign. And I did. I decided I wasn't, and I was just going to do a one-shot introductory scenario. But let's just change that. Okay, it's going to be a bit different, and I didn't set it up quite correctly. But as I say, I do want to show you more of the game. For example, we haven't seen any insectoids, we haven't seen any insect nests or victims that we've got to rescue or stuff like that. So I want to show you more of the game. So we'll just sort of gloss over the fact that I didn't do the campaign setup, and we'll just go on to the second scenario. That should be a lot more difficult. Hopefully you will see a lot more of the content. I'm not sure what's in the second scenarios, but hopefully we'll have something like a victim to rescue. So that gives us another goal that we've got to achieve. So that is more for our heroes to do, rather than just scooting out of the exit. We will hopefully have more monsters, so you will see the enemy watchstone work more, because as soon as more monsters are being activated, moved and attacking, we're going to have a lot more problems. Plus the layout of the actual scenario, as I say, I don't know which one we're going to do, but we'll probably have a layout which is a lot more difficult to navigate as well. So I think it's important that I do show you that this game is actually pretty difficult. So it looks a bit of a breeze at the moment, but as I say, that's a combination of factors. One, it's the introductory scenario. Two, I'm getting a lot of help, including from one of the actual designers of the game. So I'm getting a lot of tactical tips and help and support that way, which is great. So it's probably a little bit easier as an introductory scenario than it would have been. So I'll go on to a second level, and hopefully we'll see just how brutal the game can be. I'd still like to win, but if we end up getting our faces eaten off, well, them's the breaks. So just to let you know, I will carry on and we will do a second level. Right, so that is it for episode 5. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for all the views, for all the likes, and for all the subscriptions. That is absolutely fantastic. As ever, if you have noticed any errors whatsoever, either put them in the comments here or go over to the thread I'll create on BGG for this particular episode. Let me know and I will do my best to fix them. Thank you to everybody who's been across to Board Game Links to upvote the site, and thanks to everybody on BGG, Timo and Didier particularly, who are helping keep me on the straight and narrow, so that's brilliant. Right, as I say, that is it for episode 5. I hope you join me for episode 6. Until then, this is me, CatWeazle, signing off. Toodaloo.